In the last month, this expert advisor made more than 100,000 US dollar. Not from trading, of course, but from sales on MQL5. And this is more than enough reason to have a look at this together to figure out why this expert advisor is bought so often and if it is worth it. So let's have a look. So the SST Titan or the SSX Titan TT Expert Advisor is currently trending in the MQL5 market. It is at position 1 for the MetaTrader 5, which means usually that a lot of people will buy it. And this is actually also the case. So we can see over 160 verified purchases in the last month are documented on MQL5 on the product page. And for everyone wondering, yes, these numbers here are accurate because I am a seller myself and I know that these numbers are accurate. So assuming that the price was on average around 100 USD because a lot of people buy it, some people will rent it, we can be pretty sure that this guy made over 100k US dollar in revenue from selling this product, which is crazy. So let's figure out now if there is even a reason for people using this EA so much and what this program is about. So first of all, let's by starting to have a look at the actual sales page here on MQL5. So the salesperson here says that this expert advisor does not use machine learning or neural networks. This is what he says here, like it's shown to be unprofitable or inconsistent in the long run. I like this because a lot of people just use AI and machine learning stuff as a marketing tool, and he seems to not use this. Then also there's a link more about the advisor. You should definitely read this. He talks a little bit more about the advisor. I mean, we cannot really check if this is really what the program is doing, but I like that he is explaining the strategy a bit. Also, he says that he is using a lot of different indicators, and probably we will see this later on if we test it in the MetaTrader 5. So definitely watch this video until this point because we have the chance to test the program in the MetaTrader 5 together to figure out how it actually works and if the performance is realistic, and also my guess on if this can be sustainable in the future. Also, he has a setup guide which is also useful if you want to use the program. There's not too much written in the setup guide. I think he pretty much recommends the standard settings, but you can play around with the risk, which is fine. Then there are also some signals. This is great, but I had a look at these signals and they are not here for a long time. So we cannot really do a lot with a signal that is just showing good performance in 1 month because this could be a huge gamble and you should always be really careful. Also, if we have a look at the seller profile of this specific MQL5 seller, we can see there are some signals, but all of them are pretty much not saying anything because it's a 3-week, a 4-week, and a 5-week signal. So could also be that he just sets up one signal every single week, and if one of them will blow up in the future, he will just remove it and replace it with a new one. So this is something you should watch out for. Also, there are less good ratings for the MT4 version, but there are not a lot of ratings, so this is not really relevant, I would say. But what is really interesting also is this guy, he is using a stock image for his profile picture, so we can assume that it's not actually him. And this is something that would make me personally a bit careful because I like it when people sell something and they actually stand for it with their own person. So with their own face, with their real name and everything. This gives me personally some trust and a stock image does not. But let's not talk about the stock image here. Let's talk about the actual program. There's one more important information, and here is saying again literally that there are a lot of indicators, so the program is not really a high frequency trading program and he's not really working with neural networks, machine learning and everything. And this is what I really like because I do not like people who just use these terms as marketing tools to sell their products. And he seems to be from the description, it seems to be quite honest. And he's also saying that if you want a program that trades every single day, this is not the correct program for you. And this is what I really like. Also, of course, he's having this marketing tool here that pretty much every seller on the MQL5 market uses, where he steadily increases the price. And this will, of course, create a huge demand and people will buy it because of this. But yeah, that's marketing, so let's not talk about this too much. Then he says that he does not use any or martingale or grid mechanism. And this is really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to testing this program now. So let's jump right over these recommendations. He's using gold 1 hour chart, so not a small time frame, also good. Minimum deposit 100, okay, doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not a martingale system, so it should not use a lot of margin anyways. And then, yeah, there are some characteristics, but we talked about this already. Also, he's saying he's using a stop loss for everything, and yeah, this is really great. And it's easy to install, which we will check in a second. Then performance looks just groundbreaking for the last 3 years, but of course, we will not only test the last 3 years, but also a longer period of time. And then let's see if he also has longer period backtest. Yeah, not really. It's mainly focusing on 2020 to 2023. I mean, here he says that there's, what does this mean? I don't really know where he's talking about 28 years. Okay, it is a video. So, but this is still kind of from 2020, so it doesn't really help us. Yeah, so you can watch this video. He's kind of shifting the data in the tick data screen, but I would say that this doesn't really make sense, because if you just test the same data with a different date, I mean, there's no difference, right? So it doesn't make any sense, but maybe I just don't understand the feature. But for me, this is no valid proof that it's not a manipulation. So yeah, we will do our own testing. We just don't trust any suspicious seller in the web. But yeah, let's have a look at the comments and then we'll go to testing. Comments are all great, so it doesn't really help us. So let's go to the testing now. When you find a program in the MQL5 market, you can always use the free demo. And this is what I would advise you to do. You should definitely use this free demo to test the program. And this is what we do. So to do so, go to the MetaTrader 5. You can find your navigator. If you do not find it, go to View Navigator. You can right-click here and say Buy from the market, and then you should find the program. If you do not find it, you can also search for it here. Just type in the name of the program and you will find it. Click on it and click on Download Demo. This will download the demo, and you can do this for any program in the MQL5 market, and this is the least research that you should do before buying a product. So let's go check this out in the strategy tester. Open the strategy tester by clicking View Strategy Tester. I had this already open, so let me reopen this. Here you can go to Overview, and then I usually start with a visualized test. You can then select the expert advisor here, just go to the market subfolder and then go to SSX Titan or whatever program you're testing, and then choose the symbol. I will go with the tick data suite data for gold here, and let's switch to the 1 hour time frame. So first of all, I want to make the test as close to the recommended test as possible, so we will see the actual results that were recommended. Yeah, we actually do not have a lot of settings here. We can choose the risk. This is what he also says in his settings explanation thread on MQL5. And yeah, these inputs are really easy explained. The first two are just magic number and comment. They do not have an impact on the actual trades. Then we have a symbol prefix or suffix. This is if your symbol has a prefix or a suffix. So we might have to add this underscore TDS, but yeah, I will go with the normal text for now. Or actually, we should add this TDS, I think. Otherwise, we might not be able to test correctly. And then we can choose the risk level. Let's first go without a risk level, so off. And then trades intensity 1 to 4. Yeah, we probably go with 4 first to see a lot of trades. And then the manual lot size is if the risk level is disabled. So we will use this lot size for every trade, and this is fine for our first test. So if you made sure that visual mode is checked, you can then start a test, and this will open a separate window where you can see this actual program tested on historical data. So the test is now loaded for me. So let's have a look at this now. I will make this full screen and let's wait until everything is loaded. So the visual representation here of the EA is really interesting. It's producing a lot of shiny and colorful lines, and also there's a box and there's information on the left side. Yeah, I mean, this is cool, but it's not really telling us a lot about the profits, right? So by speeding this up, we can see the test is crazy slow. So this is not really cool, of course. Also, we do not see any of these indicators, which means that he just turned off the visualization of the indicators in the tester. This is something you can do. And yeah, if we speed this up a little bit, let's gather the information that we have here already. So we have some lines. Probably these are some resistance lines, which would make sense to me because, yeah, at this level we can see there are a lot of so-called resistance levels. Maybe we'll also see lines down here if the price touches to this level, and then the lines are somehow shifted and moved. Also on the left side we see the trend is changing from possible downtrend to downtrend, and then yeah, we find some areas. So it's probably an area where there are a lot of prices in the same area. This is what I'd suggest right now, yes. And if we break out of this area, it says he is searching for a new area. So this all makes sense, and it kinda is typical for the gold market to create these sideways ranges and then yeah, have some breakout at some point. We did not see a trade here yet, which is yeah, interesting. So we will have to wait for some more signals here pretty much to see a trade. Also, the current spread is documented on the left side. We see the leverage and the lot size that we intend to trade, and the total amount of positions seems to be limited to 8 at a time, which is cool because programs that open a unlimited amount of positions, like usually grid programs, they do have a super high risk. So we can assume that this risk is maybe not super high. Also, we see some information about the broker and the balance on the left side, but of course, this doesn't really that's not really new for us. Oh, then we have a possible uptrend now. So right now I assume that this box here that is created by the program might be really important to define, like if there's a uptrend or a downtrend. So yeah, it's not only based on the box, because we also see downtrends if we are above the box. So let me try to speed up this test a little bit to see if we can actually generate some trades. And in the tester, if you make this window smaller, like the visual window, it will speed up the test by a really great amount. And we can also have a look here at trades, and there was the first trade. So we can now check this out. So, okay, so right now it looks like this EA is taking like counter trades. So the last movement here was definitely going up, but we took a short trade, which makes me assume that, yeah, this program might identify some resistance levels, like for example here, and then if the price reaches the resistance level, it might try to like do the counter trade, and it might go for the reversal strategy. And this is a well-known strategy. It's not like super easy to program, because the program has to identify these areas here. But yeah, there are some mechanisms, of course, to how you could approach this and how you could do this. And yeah, this is what I think is really interesting. So we seem to have an actual strategy here for the program, which is super great. So we can now go ahead and do some testing to figure out if this strategy is actually also reliable in the long run. And I mean, of course, with just testing, we cannot guarantee that there is no manipulation done in the source code, because we do not see the source code, and the programmer actually might have put some preset trades in the source code. All of this manipulation is theoretically possible with MetaTrader 5 programs, but let's assume that he's not doing this. And yeah, so these trades seem to be like trades where he waits for the order to hit a resistance level, and then he goes into the trade at this level. And then there is a fixed TP and a stop loss. The TP is closer than the stop loss, and the TP might be based on some more like support and resistance levels. Like for example, here we see like on this level, which could be called a support level, we see the actual take profit. So yeah, this looks really, really cool right now to me. Really interesting. Right now, I do think this could be a valid program. Let's speed this up to see some more trades and yeah, how this all goes. Also, I want to figure out if there's some kind of trailing stop or profit saving mechanism going on in the program. But yeah, it's just super slow in the visual mode, so it's a real pain to test this. We can switch to the non-visual mode in a second and then do a long-term backtest. But let's first of all figure out if there's some kind of trailing stop loss or TP saving mechanism going on. So this trade seems to go negative. I mean, this doesn't say anything about the program. You cannot guarantee that every single trade will be positive or negative. At this point, we can wait to see if there's some kind of grid. So if we will open more positions in, if one position is losing, but right now it doesn't really look like that. So let me speed this up a little bit more to actually see what's happening. But yeah, it's a really slow backtesting process because it's just the program seems to do a lot of calculations. Maybe the programming is not like super efficient. So this is why the tests are taking so long. Of course, this is mostly important for the test, and in the actual live account, it does not really matter if the program is like super efficient, because then the program has a lot of time for the calculations. But in the test, of course, it will speed it down by a really huge amount. So right now I'm just speeding up the test. Also, we can see trades are held over multiple days. So we can see swap costs here also. Yeah, which is of course, if you hold positions overnight, you will generate some swap costs usually. But yeah, so far nothing more happened. So we do not see any additional trades. We do not see any grid mechanism. We do not see any modification for TP and stop loss. And these are good signs if you ask me, because usually this is what provides some stability for the programs. Also, we can check the distances for the TP and stop loss levels. And yeah, we have like 1,700 for the TP, 3,900 for the stop loss. Also, yeah, of course, we do not see a lot of trades here, which is also good. But, and there's one important thing, you may still remember that the test that this person did here was only showing, where do I get the test? This test was only showing 1 month. So, if we now have a look at the history, we should not see a lot of trades, and we do not, which means that this crazy performance that he is showing here in this test of 130%, this is, I mean, it's a lot, but it's done by like 1, 2, 3, 4, less than 10 trades, which means that this was a gamble. Of course, he probably just wanted to create a really good result for 1 month, so he can show this as a good selling argument. Also, realize here, the last few trades were with a really small lot size. So what could have happened, not saying that he did this on purpose, but chances are quite high that he did a lot of huge gambling trades in the beginning to generate a crazy good backtesting result. And then he is now going down with the lot size dramatically to just keep this positive performance for as long as possible and to create as many sales as possible for his product. This would be a typical marketing move that people on MQL5 do. And this speaks for a scam. But yeah, again, I'm not saying this is a scam at this point. Right now, the trade seems realistic, but I'm just fast forwarding to see maybe another trade, and then we will do a long-term non-visual backtest. So the first trade now hit the take profit and generated a loss, of course, hit the stop loss and generated a loss because of this, of course. So let's check out if we can see some more trades. So also check out that the levels here now changed. So previously these lines were above the current price, now these lines are below the current price, but the level is still the same. So we can be pretty sure here that the program is working with support and resistance levels, and I like this concept. I think it's a really cool concept, and I think there could be some significance in these support and resistance levels. So yeah, maybe I should write my own program based on a mechanism like this. So yeah, this backtest is taking ages, and I don't want to waste 10 hours here waiting for the EA to do actual stuff. So I think at this point it's pretty clear to say how the general program looks, working with support and resistance. Also in the article that the seller linked on MQL5, he's saying that he's waiting for some reversal patterns and stuff. This is probably what we saw also here before the first sell trade was done. I mean, I do not really see a reversal pattern, but I'm not super pro when it comes to these candle patterns. But yeah, so he's combining a lot of different indicators and signals, and then he will take a trade. The program does not take a lot of trades, but this doesn't have to be a bad thing. Just do not expect this to be a high frequency trading program if you use it. So let's now close this test and let's do a not visual test. And the non-visual test should go a lot quicker. Also, let me maybe choose a little bit smaller lot size, or let's just increase the count size because I want to give this some more room to breathe. And we will still work with a fixed lot size, and still from 2015 to 2024 to the end of 2023, because I just want to see how the EA performs generally. And I don't want to use any of his position sizing mechanisms, just want to use the fixed lot size to figure out, or maybe we should use one of these systems. Maybe the strategy bases the calculation based on the stop loss. So let's go with the risk 1. So just really low risk to just see how the EA performs. The risk usually does not have any impact on the strategy. This is why it's not that important to choose a specific risk. It's just 1 will be less risk than 6, of course. So it depends on your risk feeling, but it's not important that you choose a different risk for testing. So let's wait until this test shows some data, and we can talk about this then afterwards. Okay guys, so the test is running and it already completed 1.5 years here. And yeah, it is really a lot faster in the non-visual mode, what I expected. So let's talk about this a bit. What we can see here is that the program is, even though he says that he's not using martingale or something, we can see that the position size or the volume of the overall deposit load is always increasing. So at this point we can assume that he is stacking up positions or increasing the lot size if there are many or if there are multiple signals. Probably it's just to get up to his 8 positions maximum, but we can also see that he is at some point, or the program, it is at some point taking losses. So we saw this already, which is great. Also, there's always some drawdown periods, but overall the performance is still looking really good, and the question is if this is really sustainable. But yeah, this is something I think we cannot really figure out in the backtest, because this is something that the actual live or the forward test will show now, since a lot of people use this program. So we should definitely monitor the ratings of the program in the future, and if there are some ratings saying that the tester result is different from the actual live result. So this will be really interesting, and I will of course observe this. But first now, let's have a look at the end of the backtest, and then we will also have a look at some more individual trades. The test is at this point nearly over, and it's pretty clear to see that the like balance and equity graph is looking really perfect. And at this point, the question is, as always, with these MetaTrader 5 or MQL5 programs, is it looking too perfect? And yeah, just going to be honest here from my experience, yes, it's looking too good to be true. On the other hand, I do not want to bash like a program where I do not have a long live trading comparison. So this will be interesting in the last few months when we see how this actually performed for the first people who use this on a live account. As I showed before, like the signal on the MQL5 page is only for 1 month, which is saying nothing. You should not trust these signals if it's only for 1 month. And if a equity or balance graph looks like this in the tester, you should also not really trust it. But if, let's say, people use it for now 6 months in a live account and it still looks like this in a live account, that would be a good sign. But this is something that actually I doubt. But yeah, I would be super glad to be false in this statement or in this assumption and see a really, really good live trading result also. But yeah, let's just wait for the last few seconds and then we can have a look at the actual results from this test. Also, yeah, we see already that what I showed in the beginning of the test already, we seem to stack up positions over time somehow and then they will be closed. So yeah, then we generate a huge profit, and this is consistent from the beginning of the test to the end of the test. It's just that these green extremums here are getting smaller, but this is not because the strategy changed or something. This is just because the deposit load is at some point limited by the maximum amount of lots that you can trade in an account. So this is when you see something like this. And now the test is finished, and this is when you also get the actual overview here over the trades. And wait, where is my strategy tester? I want to get this again on the screen. So we will have a look at these trades in a second, so to figure out how the strategy actually works. But for now, let's have a look maybe at the backtesting result here. And the backtesting result could be really interesting here to see like stuff like, for example, the profit factor, which is 37, and this, again, just from my experience, completely unrealistic. You will not see this in a live account. And if you see this in a live account, it's called money printing, not trading. So completely unrealistic. But this is just my opinion at this point. Then let's have a look at some more key figures here. Hit rate, close to 100%. From my experience, not realistic. But I would be glad to, be proven wrong here. Then 1,000 trades. Yeah, this is already what the seller said on the page and what we already saw in the backtest. This program is not like trading every single day. This is why we do not see that many trades. So let's have a look at some more of these key figures. Like overall, the loss is like really small compared to the profit, which is not realistic. And then the drawdown is also like super, super small, also not realistic from my experience. Also like the, we can see also the consecutive profits and losses. Wait, do we see the consecutive wins? Average largest. We see the consecutive losses, which is 2. But we do not really see the consecutive wins, which is a little bit weird. Yeah, but yeah, it's not like super important. We can see that like on average, most of these trades won. And that's like just not realistic. Also, like let's have a look at these graphics here. There's no significance in when the positions are opened. Of course, like this 15-hour candle is opens a lot of positions, but this is really often because of the US market opening, which usually moves the markets a lot, especially also gold, of course. And then for like weekdays, month, and everything, we do not really see any significances. So let's have a look at let's close the test and let's have a look at some actual trades now, because once the test is finished, the non-visual test, you also get the graphic here or the chart with all the trades. And we can see the strategy stacks up multiple trades at the same time, and there's no real pattern. Like these trades are stacked in loss or in the negative area and also in the positive area. Like for example, here the first trade was a buy trade, then there were more trades when this first trade was losing. And here it was the other way around. So one trade was a sell trade, and then there were more trades when this trade was winning. So it's actually not really the classical grid system, which is what the seller said on the webpage, and this seems to be correct. And yeah, this is of course cool to see. I mean, I don't really know why there are so many positions here at the same price. This is something we cannot really figure out without seeing the source code. Evil or suspicious or like careful people might expect that there's some kind of manipulation going on in the code, which could definitely be the case because these signals just seem to be really, really accurate. But yeah, on the other hand, it still, you can explain some of these things. Like for example, you could say this is a resistance area or support area or whatever you want to call it. So here were some trades done. But yeah, I'm just not sure if this can be so it can generate such a high win rate. So I'm really careful with these kind of win rates, and so you should also be careful, because if the program is this profitable as it is shown in the test and on MQL5, the question is why the salesperson or the seller is even selling it on MQL5. So just be really careful, and at this point I would just wait 1 or 2 months to see how the live signal develops, how the feedbacks or the reviews change on the MQL5 page. And if this strategy is really as profitable as the salesperson says here, yeah, you can still pretty much use it in 2 months, I think. But this is my opinion. If anyone has already some live experience with this EA, I would be glad to read it in the chat or in the comments of this video. Also, if someone already decompiled this EA or is in the group that decompiles all of the MQL5 EAs, drop a comment. I would be super interested to see if there's some shady things going on in the EA. And yeah, that's it for the review. So there seems to be some actual strategy in the background of this EA, but on the other hand, the results are, for me personally, just too good to be true. So let me know your opinion. Hope you liked this little review, and I wish you a great time and good trades. Have a great day. Bye-bye.